The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 46. In the end, it didn't work, so she came out to help Nanshan several times. When others discovered that even the heirs of the top clan like Regner would come to help Nanshan get out, the other beggars naturally did not dare to offend Nanshan again. As a result, Nanshan pretended to be invincible and brought all the beggar gang forces in Zhejiang province into his own hands. Now he is the leader of the famous gang of beggars in Oris Hill area. Nanshan is also very proud of this, because this kind of thing comes in too quickly, and it is completely unnecessary. Everyone is scattered, everyone finds a place, lies on the ground, and then writes on a blank paper. Copywriting that sells badly is just lying down and making money. In a short period of time, he has already saved more than 1 billion family assets. Yakina was naturally relieved to see that her younger brother had made such a great achievement. For her brother-in-law, the younger brother was responsible for it, which was the continuation of the entire family's blood. The Xue family's parents left early and there were no relatives. The more desolate and the less prosperous the family, the more she hoped that the Xue family could open up its branches and leaves as soon as possible, so that the family would also prosper and gradually become a famous family in Oris Hill. So that I can be considered to have completed my mission to myself. After leaving her brother's family, Yakina turned and returned to the villa. Regner was sitting in the living room with a cigar in his mouth, and said annoyedly, "Yakin, I recently heard that your brother's beggar has made a lot of children to make money. Can you tell him he will constrain a little bit later? Now everyone knows that he is my brother-in-law. He is doing this kind of mischievous business, and everyone outside thinks it is my order. What my Wu family says is 100 billion level. How can this big family get involved with this kind of business?" When Yakina heard this, her eyes were flushed with grievance, and she choked with sobs. "Husband, you don't know the situation of Nanshan. You said that he has no ability, education, and no brains, except for the sidetrack. What else can he do? He's just this little brother. If he doesn't live well, then I won't die." Regner's most helpless thing is to see his wife's grievances. He also knows that this is just his wife's trick, but after all, out of true love, when he sees her grievances, even if she pretends to be wronged, Regner will feel distressed in his heart. So, he could only sigh, and said, "If you have done it, don't feel wronged. I mean, you will also say hello to Nanshan when you look back. There are many ways to make a mistake. Partial behavior is placed on women and children. If he has a kind, and dares to fight and kill, then I can completely praise him as the underground emperor of the whole Oris Hill. Why do things that hurt women and children every day? These things. It's really faceless." Yakina came to Regner with tears in her eyes, sat beside him, grabbed his arm with both hands, and choked pitifully, "Husband, you don't know what my brother is like. That ability to fight and kill with others? Besides, in our entire Xue family, he is the only man left who says that he can't go out to fight and kill. If something happens to him, we Xue isn't the home going to be broken." Regner said helplessly, "Didn't I tell you? If he dares to fight and kill, I will cover him behind his back. With me, Do you think anyone in Oris Hill dares to move him? Yakina wiped away her tears, and said, That's not what I said, my husband. There are many children now, who are totally shocked. He doesn't care what your identity or background is. He might just pick up a knife and say killers. If they hurt Nanshan and kill them all afterwards, what problem can they solve? As she said, she grabbed Regnar's hand and said with red eyes, Husband, he is just a younger brother Nanshan. You are for the sake of me having been with you for so many years and giving birth to 2 sons. Be considerate. Be considerate of him. Regnar sighed and said helplessly, These things Nanshan has done are too damaging and against morality. If you have time someday, let him go to the temple to burn incense. Nanshan drove his Rolls-Royce at this time, with his 2-month pregnant wife sitting in the co-pilot and his 6-year-old daughter in the back seat. A family of 3 drove back to their villa and the journey went smoothly. Rolls-Royce drove into the garage and stopped. Nanshan pushed the door to get out of the car. Then, Kaylee beside him also opened the door. Their daughters was already asleep in the back seat. Kaylee said to Nanshan, Husband, you hug your girl, put on a dress for her, don't let her catch a cold. Nanshan nodded, and after getting out of the car, he reached out and opened the door of the rear seat. At this moment, a few men in black suddenly rushed out around him. Each of them held a gun in hand. As soon as they appeared, they pointed their guns directly at the foreheads of the couple. One of them gave a cold voice. Said, Nanshan, our young master wants to see you, you husband and wife, come with us. Nanshan was taken aback by the battle in front of him. He really didn't expect that someone in Suzhou would dare to provoke him. He's not only the leader of the beggar gang, but also a relative of the Wu family, and Regnar's brother-in-law. In Suzhou, who should not give him a bit of face. Don't talk about targeting him, even if they see him, they all have to nod and bow, kneel and lick him like a dog. So he asked angrily, what do those few eyesight things do? Do you know who my brother-in-law is? One of the people in black disdainfully said, Isn't your brother-in-law Regnar? Nanshan reprimanded, knowing that my brother-in-law is Regnar, if you dare to provoke me, you are all impatient, right? Believe my brother-in-law, a word can make you dead. The man in black sneered, Nanshan, you take your brother-in-law too seriously. In the eyes of our young master, Regnar is indistinguishable from a dog. The reason for leaving this dog is Regnar. Fate, he just want him to jump for 2 more days and have fun with him. Nanshan was a little panicked now. He really didn't expect that the other party would not pay attention to his brother-in-law at all. In Suzhou, no one had such courage. But these people in black know that they are Regnar's brother-in-law, and they have to use a knife to hijack him. It seems that they are not good. So he asked nervously, Who are you? Who is your young master? Have I provoked your young master? The black man said, Who is our young master? You will know when you come with us. After that, he pointed his gun at Kaylee and said coldly, And you, one of the 9 elders of the beggars, right? Come with us too. At this time, several people in black put their guns at them and led them out of the garage. At the same time, a helicopter has slowly landed in the courtyard of Nanshan's villa. Nanshan felt even more flustered when he saw that the other party was with a helicopter to kidnap him. This situation can be seen at a glance that those who come are not good. At this time, he found a man in black and walked out holding his sleeping daughter. He panicked and said, "What are you going to do? My daughter is innocent. Don't involve her." The man in black sneered, "How many babies and children in your beggar gang have been kidnapped by you? Aren't they innocent? Isn't your Nanshan's child a human, and other people's children are not humans?" Nanshan was shocked. Before he and his wife could recover, they were forcibly taken into the helicopter by the man in black. They were taken on the helicopter along with their daughter. One of the men in black directly took out a syringe and gave Nanshan's daughter a tranquilizer. This shot of tranquilizer can give Nanshan's daughter at least another 10 hours of sleep. Afterwards, the plane quickly climbed and flew towards the bridge where Charlie was. At this moment, above the bridge, Lu Zhaokan's family of 6 is almost shocked. Zhang Ming had already fainted a few times with fright, and regained consciousness. The elder of the beggar gang, who was responsible for buying and selling people, was already on the way here. Isaac's subordinates were already on the bridge and had no nets. As long as this person appeared, he would be immediately controlled. Lu Zhaochen knelt in front of Charlie at this time. The blood that had been kowtow before, had formed blood scabs, making him look terrible. But his expression was full of horror. He looked at Charlie and begged, "Brother, if the elder beggar comes over later, please let us go. We will definitely reform in the future. Never do this kind of unconscientious thing again." Charlie sneered and said, "If you really have a long memory, when you make a pirated CD and your right hand is cut off, you will already have a long memory. Others have worked so hard to make a movie and prepare to be shown in the theater to earn the box office. To recover the cost, and as a result, you stupid stole the fruits of other people's labor directly. If you are a pirated rubbish, brazen stupid, you should have no place to bury the whole family. I didn't expect you to be a pirate. You even hit the child with the idea, you are adding sin to sin." Lu Zhaochen burst into tears. He raised his severed right hand and begged, "Brother, I do piracy is really not something, I have already paid the price. You see, I lost my right hand when I was young. It's not easy for me to live the past few years." Charlie said coldly, "Your right hand is just the price you paid for piracy. Now you have to pay the price for kidnapping and stealing children." Lu Zhaochen cried and said, "Brother, why don't you take one of my legs? Take one of my legs, I will definitely be a good person in my life." Charlie smiled and said, "You are quite good at discussing with others. It is not impossible to abandon your leg, but you have stolen 10 children in total. For each child, I abandon your leg. You have 10 legs for me." Lu Zhaochen was stunned. Seeing Charlie's face full of solemnity, as if he was about to kill him today, he said in a flustered heart, "Brother, although I don't have 10 legs, there are 7 of us. 7 people, that is 14 legs." "What?" Charlie smiled and said, "You are quite good at doing arithmetic problems, but this kind of thing cannot be offset by the 7 of you, because the results you 7 have to face are exactly the same." Just as he was talking, a heavy forklift drove over from the bridgehead with a Mercedes S-Class directly on the fork. Isaac's voice came from the intercom, "The young master, the elder of the beggar gang has been brought over. It is in the Mercedes sedan." The car is bulletproof. He is unwilling to get out of the car, so I just let him be forked. As the forklift got closer and closer, Charlie asked the people around to make an open space, and waved at the forklift driver, "Come on, put him here." The forklift driver immediately drove the bulletproof Mercedes S-Class all the way to Charlie. Isaac said at this time, "Don't worry, don't put him down now, otherwise he will suddenly hurt the young master if he puts on the gas pedal. First remove his four wheels, and then put him down." As a result, several workers from construction sites immediately took equipment and went up and unloaded all his four wheels. At this time, there was a fat man sitting in the car. The fat man was full of horror and shouted in the car, "Who are you guys and what do you want to do?" Charlie ignored him. After all four of his wheels were unloaded, the forklift put the car in place. Charlie took out his phone, turned on the video recording function, looked at the fat man in the car window, and said coldly, "The elder of the beggar gang, right? You are responsible for buying minors for the beggar gang, right? I will give you a chance now. If you don't grasp the opportunity to walk down, you are at your own risk." The fat man looked at him with trepidation, and blurted out, "Who are you? I have never seen you before. We can't have any hatred, what's the resentment?" Charlie lifted Lu Xiaochen up, pointed at him, and asked the fat man, "Do you know this person? Have you told him that you want to take over 10 orphans from him?" The fat man's face instantly turned pale. Immediately, he glared at Lu Xiaochen and cursed, You dare to sell me." Lu Xiaochen was also full of anger with nowhere to vent, staring at him, hysterically cursing, "You fraudulent, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to walk this way. You killed our family." Charlie looked at the fat man again and asked in a cold voice, "I will ask you one last time, will you not come down?" The fat man didn't dare to get off, at least he could find a sense of security in the car. Seeing that he was indifferent, Charlie said to Isaac, "Are there electric welding equipment in these construction vehicles?" Isaac immediately asked through the walkie-talkie, "Whose car has an electric welding machine?" A voice came from the walkie-talkie, "Master, I have a set of welding equipment and inverters in my car, just for mobile welding." Isaac blurted out, "Bring here quickly." After a while, a truck drove over. After the driver jumped out of the car, he immediately lifted a set of electric welding equipment from the back of the truck. Charlie pointed to the Mercedes S-Class and said, "Since this fat guy likes to stay inside, then weld all the doors, find some steel bars, and weld all the windows." There were so many construction vehicles, and various construction site materials were pulled inside, the most of which were cement, yellow sand and muck, followed by steel bars and other steel plates. Upon hearing that Charlie ordered the car to be welded to death, the worker immediately greeted several workers for help. Then, many people carried various steel bars and the steel plates ran over quickly. When the fat man in the car saw the battle, his soul was frightened. He asked hoarsely, "What are you going to do? I have no grudges against you, why are you doing this to me?" Charlie sneered, "You kidnap and sell children, everyone will be punishable. To do this kind of conscience business, you must have enough psychological preparation." After that, he roared, "Do it now." Several workers immediately got busy. First, all the doors of this Mercedes were welded to death, and then all the windows of this Mercedes were welded into cages with various steel plates. The fat man became more and more frightened inside, and his whole person almost collapsed. He had already felt something subconsciously, but at this moment, deep down in his heart, he was still deceiving himself and couldn't believe it. Charlie's mobile phone has been recording his images, and naturally recorded all the scene of him being welded to death in the car. The fat man looked at Charlie and threatened with all his strength, "I warn you, let me go quickly, our boss's brother-in-law is no one but Regner of the Wu family. You must have heard of Regner's name. How can you not provoke him? If you dare to be against me today, my boss and his brother-in-law Regner will definitely not spare you." Charlie smiled and said, "Your boss? Your boss is already on the way here, so let's let him watch you on the road later." As he was talking, a helicopter in the sky had already moved quickly. After a few minutes, the plane landed slowly, and several people in black escorted him. Nanshan and his wife Kaylee walked off the helicopter. When Nanshan saw the battle in front of him, he was shocked. His soul lost his body. He has been out for so long and has never seen such a scary battle. Dozens of engineering vehicles directly sealed the entire bridge, several helicopters were parked on the bridge, and dozens of men in black with guns and live ammunition. H thought it was the troops doing some exercises. He couldn't help wondering in his heart, who are these people? Whom did you offend? Those beggars who usually rob themselves of buying and selling, who has such great ability? Those people in black brought him to Charlie. Charlie observed at him and asked in a cold voice, "Are you Nanshan?" Nanshan felt tight, and subconsciously asked, "Who are you? What are you looking for?" Charlie smiled and said, "Me? I am the one who will kill you." When Nanshan heard this, his face became cold, and he immediately said angrily, "You want my life? Do you know who my brother-in-law is?" Charlie smiled and said, "I know, isn't it Regner? Do you think Regner can save you at this time? If this old dog Regner rushes over today, I will kill the entire Wu family today. Right here." "You?" Nanshan was shocked. He couldn't understand why the young man in front of him had such a strong confidence, and he dared to say such arrogant words. Who is Regner? Regner is an existence that no one can match in the whole Oris Hill and no one dares to mess with. He is the king of Oris Hill. But the young man in front of him didn't pay attention to Regner at all. What gave him such a confidence? At this time, the fat man who had been completely welded to death in the Mercedes-Benz car opened a window in the car and shouted to the outside, "Boss, boss, you must save me, boss." Nanshan was shocked. He turned his head and found that in the Mercedes that was welded to death, there was sitting in one of the 9 elders of his beggar gang. He hurriedly blurted out and asked, "Old Lu, why are you here?" The beggar elder in the Mercedes-Benz cried and said, "Boss, I came to pick up the goods. I didn't expect that the boy who talked to me, he actually cheated me, because he united with others to do the crime. Boss, you must save me." Nanshan was frightened and stupid. This battle is clearly to kill. If the opponent dares to kill own elder, he must dare to kill him. He was nervous and scared to die, and tremblingly asked Charlie, "Brother, what on earth do you and I have misunderstood? Or what do you want? Just ask, as long as I can give it to you, I just beg you to let us go." Charlie said coldly, "Your beggars help to do some conscienceless things. What I want today is a heaven. A justice." Nanshan said in horror, "Brother, how can my brother-in-law Regner be regarded as a face in the south of the Yangtze River? If you kill me, he will definitely not let you go. Instead of repaying injustices like this, why can't turn fighting into jade?" Charlie smiled indifferently, and said, "I'm sorry, you want to turn a fight with me into a jade silk, you are not worthy. Even Regner is not worthy. You see Regner as a god, but in my eyes he is just a pile of SHT. After that, he said again, "Nanshan, don't worry, come one by one, I will send your brother on the road first, and then have a good chat with you." Immediately afterwards, Charlie looked at the fat man in the Mercedes, and said coldly, "You kidnap and sell children, you lose your conscience, you are a tiger, and everyone is punishable. Today I will act for the sky and let you do what you do. To pay the price. Don't you like your Mercedes? Don't you like to stay in it and not get down? Okay, let this car be your coffin and let your boss send you on the road." After all, he looked at Nanshan and said coldly, "Come on, you sing a song loudly for me, sing a famous Italian song. Goodbye friends." Nanshan subconsciously shivered and said, I won't." Charlie scolded, "You bluff me? Who can sing such a classic song?" Nanshan does sing this song, and he often sings it in KTV, but how could he be willing to sing it at this time? The young man in front of him welded one of his generals in a Mercedes car, and said that he wanted this car to be his coffin, which meant that he would die in the car. He can't save his brother, nor can he sing goodbye to friend when he dies, right? Seeing that he didn't even speak, Charlie immediately yelled, "The sniper, take his right leg!" As soon as the voice fell, he heard a gunshot. Then Nanshan knelt on the ground with a plop. His right knee has become a mass of fleshy flesh, and the pain makes him cry. Charlie continued, "I count 123, and within 3 seconds, if this person doesn't sing to me, you'll break his other leg. 1. 2. Nanshan was so scared to cry when he heard this. Don't shoot, brother, I sing, I will sing." After all, he endured the sharp pain in his right leg and knee, and sang choked with a trembling voice, "Oh goodbye friend, ah, goodbye friend, ah, goodbye friend, goodbye, goodbye." Charlie looked at the fat man in the Mercedes car and asked him with a smile, "Have you heard? Your big brother is singing to see you off, you can go on the road with peace of mind." The fat man collapsed in pain, slapped the car window and shouted, "I don't want to die, please spare my life, I really don't want to die." Charlie stopped paying attention to him, but yelled, "Hang up this Mercedes-Benz for me with a heavy helicopter." Isaac immediately ordered one to go down. In the car, the big fat man was completely crazy. He slapped the car window frantically, crying and begging, "Brother, uncle, please let me go. I'm still young and I don't want to die. I have 80 mothers. There are 3-year-old children. If I die, they will all be over." Charlie sneered, "Before you do this business, you should have thought that you will end up like this." A heavy helicopter tied the Mercedes with a cable, and then slowly hoisted it in the air. Charlie said coldly, "Throw him into the river for me." The helicopter immediately flew to the river surface by the bridge, and then the aircraft suddenly disconnected the rope, and the Mercedes-Benz crashed into the river surface at a very fast speed. This Mercedes itself is bulletproof, and the body is very heavy, plus the steel plate welded in a circle makes it heavier. Therefore, the moment it plunged into the river at high speed, it immediately threw a spectacular splash of water. The splashing water even formed a small rainbow in the sun. Immediately afterwards, the Mercedes car sank directly into the river bottom and disappeared without any delay. Everyone present knew that this fat man was bound to death. Because that car has been completely welded to death, it is impossible to escape for him now. Zhang Ming, Lu Zhaoqin's family, and Nanshan's couple suddenly collapsed with horror as they watched the Mercedes sink to the bottom of the river. No one thought that Charlie would be so decisive when killing someone. Zhang Ming also clearly realized at this moment that this orphan, who grew up with him since childhood, seemed to be able to kill him today. He crawled to Charlie's feet, crying, and his whole person was out of breath. "Charlie, please let me go. I am different from them. I have never done such a morning before. For the best things, I was just confused for a while, and blinded for a while. I beg you to give me another chance. You grew up with me, you know that I am not the kind of heinous person." Charlie looked at him in disgust, and said coldly, "Zhang Ming, there is a truth you have to understand. Some mistakes can be forgiven, but some mistakes can never be forgiven, even for the first time." After finishing talking, he used the camera of his mobile phone to aim at Nanshan and his wife, and said coldly, "Come on, I will give you and your wife a chance to confess to the people of the whole country. Looking at my mobile phone camera, you have done it all these years. If you do well, I might be able to make you suffer less." Nanshan's wife Kaylee was almost silly, but at this moment, she knelt on the ground with a thump, crying and begging for mercy. "Big brother, please forgive me, I'm just Nanshan's wife, I don't even know. What did he do on weekdays? I am really innocent." As she said, she pointed to her flat lower abdomen, and said, "You tell me, I have been pregnant for 2 months, please let us go and give us a way out." Upon hearing this, Nanshan subconsciously cursed, "Kaylee, you actually want to betray me at this time?" Kaylee suddenly exploded, "Nanshan, I have your seed in my stomach. Don't I want to leave a queen for you Shui family? If we both die here today, your Shui family's incense broken." In fact, Kaylee's thinking is very simple, just to survive. She didn't live enough and didn't want to die. If she is allowed to die with her husband and live as a widow by herself, choose one of the two, then she must choose the latter. Nanshan also thought at first that she was going to live alone. But listening to her say this, his heart suddenly shuddered. His wife is right, if both him and his wife are dead, even if the young man in front of him let go of his daughter, his own incense will be cut off. With the daughter, in the eyes of the Shui family, the incense cannot be continued. Must have a son to succeed the Shui family. This is why Nanshan and his sister are very eager to hope that Kaylee can have a son. Therefore, Nanshan realized at this moment that if he had to die here today, he would have to let Kaylee and the child in her stomach live. What if it was a boy? The Shui family has a prince. Otherwise, if Kaylee died here today, then the entire Shui family would be the last. Thinking of this, he immediately said to Charlie, "Big brother, what hate you have, any grudges will come to me. My wife is innocent, and the child in my wife's belly is also innocent, please let her go." Charlie said coldly, "You have poisoned so many children, haven't you thought that those children are the most innocent?" Nanshan cried and said, "Even if I am utterly conscienceless, it has nothing to do with my wife and children. Please let them go. You can't kill a pregnant woman in front of so many people, right?" Charlie smiled and said, "I didn't expect it, would you still kidnap me morally?" After speaking, Charlie nodded and said, "But you are right. It is really not my style to kill a pregnant woman, so I am going to let your wife go." As soon as the voice fell, Kaylee on the side was so excited that she kowtows her head again and again, crying and laughing and said, "Big brother, thank you, big brother, thank you for not killing." Charlie waved his hand, "Don't worry, I don't need to kill you, but the child in your stomach belongs to you, so I can't let you go right now. I will arrange for someone to take you there directly. The obstetrics and gynecology hospital and the child will be knocked out. I will hand you over to the public security organs and let them take you to court to sentence, go to jail, and shoot according to your actions." When Nanshan heard this, he suddenly shouted, "How can you make our Shui family like that? The incense of our Shui family is in my wife's belly." Charlie smiled and said, "I'm sorry, a SCM like you, and a SCM who specializes in destroying families, is not worthy to continue the incense. I can spare life of your daughter, but the embryo in your wife's belly, don't be foolish." Later, Charlie looked at Kaylee again, and said coldly, "You choose now, do you want to stay and die with your husband, or kill the child and get your own dog life going?" Kaylee blurted out completely without thinking, "Brother, I want to live, I don't want to die, the child can be knocked out, at any time." In fact, at this moment Kaylee had already thought very clearly. First of all, she can't die anyway, because she's still young and haven't lived enough. If it is to die with her husband, she doesn't want to die. Secondly, the child in the belly is only 2 months old. To put it bluntly, it is a fertilized egg. It doesn't matter if it goes on or not, as long as she can live is more important than anything else. Therefore, of course she is willing to choose to knock the child out. When Nanshan next to her heard this, his whole person was almost gone. He observed at Kaylee with cannibalistic eyes and gritted his teeth and cursed, "You stinky lady, you want to abandon me at the critical moment and live by yourself?" Kaylee looked at him nervously and said seriously, "Husband, do you want me to die with you? We still have a daughter. Even if I am in jail for more than 10 years, my daughter still has a mother. If I die here today, our daughter will be an orphan." Nanshan angrily scolded, "You have to kill Nanshan's son to survive. Now you still want to use daughter as a shield, do you think I will be fooled by you? You bheesh, how come I didn't see that you are such a dog that is greedy for life and fears death, and betrays your husband to live alone at a critical moment?" Kaylee did not expect that her husband would scold her bloody at this time. It is true that she really wants to live, but what she said is not unreasonable. In this case, whether she choose to die or choose to live, it is impossible to keep the child in her stomach. In this case, the couple can live. 1. Isn't it much better than 2 deaths? So, she asked Nanshan, let's be a husband and wife. When you pleaded for me just now, you asked this eldest brother to let me go, but you heard that after the child can't stay, do you want me to die with you? Is the only reason I live is to give birth to your child? Nanshan blurted out, I pleaded entirely because of the child in your stomach. If there is no child in your stomach, why should I die and you not? Why can't it be you and me? No matter how bad it is, we have to die together. Companions of the death road. Kaylee looked at him in shock, and said angrily, well, Nanshan, how come I haven't noticed that you are such a thing? A couple with you, at the critical moment you actually want to take me to your funeral. After speaking, she immediately looked at Charlie, Big brother, I will listen to your instructions. I can go and kill the child now, as long as you spare my life. Charlie nodded in satisfaction and said, yes, since you are so enlightened, then I will spare you not to die, and now I will arrange for someone to take you to the hospital. Kaylee was so excited, she knelt on the ground and knocked Charlie a dozen heads. At this moment, Nanshan next to her was already hysterical. While Kaylee was not paying attention, he suddenly rushed up, pinched her neck tightly, pressed her to the ground, and looked at her with gritted teeth, you unfaithful dog woman, die for me. Seeing Kaylee had been pinched by her and rolled her eyes, Isaac hurriedly asked him, Mr. Wade, do you want to make a move? If you don't make a move, this woman will die. Charlie said lightly, old Isaac, remember what I just said, I will not kill a pregnant woman. Isaac suddenly realized. The young master did say that he would not kill a pregnant woman. However, if this Nanshan killed the pregnant wife himself, then no one else could be blamed. Sure enough, within a minute, Kaylee had stopped her heartbeat and breathing. After Nanshan strangled her to death, he couldn't get rid of his hatred, and gritted his teeth and cursed, this BTCH, wanted to live alone? Go ahead and wait for me. When you are dying, you can pull a back cushion, and it is worth. Now. Charlie sneered. This Kaylee was a Kowloon sergeant of the entire gang of beggars. Don't think she was a woman, but she might have done no less evil than others. Therefore, if he were to let her live, Charlie would also feel very sick. But there is no way. People always have to have principles. This group of dogs has no principles, so they have done so many unconscientious things, but they can't, at least they can't kill a pregnant woman by themselves. It's all right now, Nanshan helped him solve this problem, at least he would not feel sick because Kaylee was still alive in this world. After Kaylee's death, Lu Zhaokan's family, Zhang Ming, and others were already frightened. In a short time, 2 people have died in front of them, and everyone's death is so miserable. The beggar elder who drove the Mercedes S-Class was originally the envy of everyone. He had money and status, and he drove a luxury car. However, just a few minutes ago, his luxury Mercedes became his steel coffin. But in front of them, Kaylee's desperate tragic situation shocked their hearts. Charlie asked Isaac with a cold face at this time, where are the other core members of the beggar gang? Isaac said, Mr. Wade, rest assured that I have notified all our forces in Suzhou. They are already walking, and these people will soon be brought over one by one. Okay. Charlie nodded and sneered, today, none of the core members of the beggar gang will stay alive, quickly. All the people and horses of Wade family hiding in Suzhou began to move, and the members of the gang kidnapped from various places were sent to the bridge one by one. 2 of the 9 elders of the beggar gang have died, and the remaining 7 have been taken one after another. The 2 deputy leaders of the beggar gang were also brought to the scene at this time. After the members of the beggar gang gathered, one by one was frightened and collapsed. None of the later gang dared to believe that someone dared to destroy the entire gang of beggars in Suzhou. Behind the gang of beggars, Regner of the Wu family is supporting. Why don't even Regner care about this group of people? Charlie stood in front of this group of people at this time, and said to Isaac beside him, "Let people bring steel bars over, and give me all the hands of these people and tie them up tightly with steel bars." 1 gang leader, 2 deputy gang leaders, 7 elders, and 9 people knelt in a row. The first one was Nanshan, the gang leader who just killed his wife. Charlie's phone has not stopped recording. At this time, he pointed the viewfinder at Nanshan and said with a smile, "Come on, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do, and who do you work for?" Nanshan looked at him coldly, gritted his teeth and said, "You pretend to be here with me. I know I will not survive today. If you want to kill, kill, but my brother-in-law will definitely take revenge for me. Then he will take your body between thousands of corpses." Charlie nodded and smiled, and said disdainfully, "The least believer, is how kind a person can be." After all, he looked at everyone kneeling in front of him, including Lu Zhaokan's family and Zhang Ming, and said sharply, "I can tell you very responsibly that today is your anniversary. None of you can live today, but die. There are also many different ways. Some methods of death may be painful, and some methods of death may be more painful. Whether it is painful or less painful depends on your performance." Later, Charlie looked at Nanshan and smiled, "Didn't you Nanshan just behave very unkindly? Then you have chosen the painful way of death. I will let you do what you want." A panic flashed in Nanshan's eyes. He didn't know what exactly Charlie would do to torture him. At this time, Charlie said to Isaac, "Take off all the clothes on this person, and then use a knife to cut me thin cuts on him. The more you cut, the better, and the wound should not be too deep. But it must bleed. In this case, use a helicopter to lift him up and throw him in the river, so that the fish in the water can eat the wounds on his body. If there is enough time, he can be eaten into bones alive." Isaac's expression stunned when he heard the whole individual, but he didn't expect the young master's methods to be so cruel. However, think about what this group of people are doing is completely devoid of conscience. This method of death is already very fair to them. If such placed in ancient times, he must be executed soon. So he didn't have any hesitation anymore, and immediately said to the 2 men in black next to him, "You two, remember to cut the wound more densely." The 2 of them were top killers who killed countless, so they were accustomed to this kind of thing for a long time, so the 2 immediately took out their knives from their pockets and walked towards Nanshan without expression. Nanshan, who was still very stubborn just now, was trembling with fright at this time, crying loudly, "Big brother, I was wrong, big brother, I was really wrong, I will say whatever you ask me to say, I will never follow you are pretending to be forced, please don't torture me." Charlie sneered and said, "What? Haven't started cutting yet? Are you scared? What about the courage just now? Nanshan panicked and said, "Brother, you can hit me twice, even if you kill me now, I beg you, don't torture me, I will say whatever you ask me to say, and I will cooperate to the end." Charlie said, "Sorry, I just gave you a chance, but it's too late now." After speaking, Charlie said again, "But it's a bit useful to make up for it. Don't worry, I won't let the fish eat you into bones. I will ask you to face the camera later and leave a few words for your brother-in-law." As soon as the voice fell, Charlie instructed the two men in black, "First give me his 2 legs to deal with it." The two immediately took out their knives and cut off Nanshan's trouser legs directly, and then drew countless blood trails on his calves and thighs, causing him to scream miserably in pain. The people next to him looked even more terrified. Immediately afterwards, the helicopter took off Nanshan, whose legs were covered with bloody wounds, and then hung him into the river. Even across such a high bridge, you can hear the screams on the water. After 10 minutes, Charlie said, "Okay, bring him up." The helicopter lifted him back slowly. When he approached the bridge deck, his 2 legs had been gnawed by the fish in the river so that they didn't look like they were, and bones were exposed in several places. The 10 minutes that have just passed were the most painful and difficult 10 minutes in Nanshan's life. In those 10 minutes, he felt that countless big fishes and small fishes in the river were desperately trying to tear a piece of meat from the wound on his leg. That kind of feeling is like being bitten countless bites of meat on his leg, every bite hurts so much that he wants to die. Now he has only one thought in his mind: no matter what, he can no longer be thrown into the water. So no matter what Charlie asked him to do next, he would not dare to have any disobedience. The man in black caused Nanshan, who was so painful to collapse, to kneel. Charlie looked at him and asked, "How do you feel?" Nanshan cried bitterly, "Please kill me, I really don't want to live." Charlie shouted coldly, "I'll give you another chance now. You can answer whatever I ask you. If you answer well, I will give you a happy reply. If you answer badly, you will be embarrassed." Nanshan nodded as if pounding garlic, crying and said, "Big brother, ask, and I will answer all questions." Charlie pointed the phone at him and asked, "What is your name? What occupation?" Nanshan tremblingly said, "My name is Nanshan and I am the leader of the beggar gang." Charlie asked again, "What kind of livelihood does your beggar gang do?" Nanshan answered truthfully, "The main business of the gang is to pretend to be beggars and beg everywhere." Charlie asked, "You all wear gold and silver, why do you pretend to be beggars and beg?" Nanshan said, "Because the money is the fastest in this way, we only need to send people out and lie down and sell badly in various crowded places, and we can have a high income." Charlie asked, "Then why do you abduct so many children?" Nanshan said, "Because when begging, if you bring a child with you, you can double the alms, even several times." Charlie continued to ask, "Then why do you make good children disabled?" Nanshan shuddered and said, "Children with disabilities are more able to arouse others' compassion. According to our experience, it is the easiest to make money with children with disabilities." Charlie asked coldly, "Then how many children have you hurt so far?" Nanshan said nervously, "I haven't counted this, but there should be 3 digits." Charlie continued to ask, "Who is behind you to support you in doing such a thing, and who is your backer?" Nanshan said, My patrons are my sister and brother-in-law. Charlie asked, what are the names of your sister and brother-in-law, and what do they do? Nanshan honestly said, my sister's name is Yakana. She has no job and is a full-time housewife. My brother-in-law is Regner. He is the heir of the Wu family in the city. Charlie asked coldly, in other words, the reason why you dare to do this kind of conscience is completely because you have Regner behind your back, isn't it? Nanshan hesitated for a while, but he nodded obediently and said, yes, the beggars developed to this day relying on my brother-in-law to help. It was him who came forward to support me, so no one dared to fight against me. Charlie asked again, does he know what you depend on for a living? Does he know that you poisoned so many miners? Nanshan nodded, he knows all, and my sister also knows. Charlie nodded in satisfaction. With this video, as long as it is released, the reputation of the Wu family will be greatly affected. They will be angrily condemned by countless netizens across the country. At that time, it would be impossible for the Wu family to be able to do a PR. What Charlie wanted was to make the Wu family suffer. For this matter, the Wu family is the culprit behind it. If it weren't for the Wu family's help and abuse, helping this Nanshan all the way, forming a gang of beggars, and growing stronger, then he wouldn't have the opportunity to poison so many children. Therefore, the Wu family is an absolute accomplice. Charlie believed that Regner would be very uncomfortable after this video was released. Didn't he want to confront him? Isn't he secretly looking for his enemy, ready to unite and attack him? Sorry, this young master is already impatient with waiting, so take your brother-in-law first. So Charlie immediately said to Isaac, put all the members of this gang of beggars into that Ivco, and then weld the steel bars on their hands to the car body. Yes. Isaac gave an order, and many people in black rushed up quickly. Every 2 people grabbed one and brought them all into the car, which had been cut off and topped Ivco. The children of Ivco have been taken to the helicopter and continue to fall asleep. The people in black didn't have any kindness to them even if these people were crying and howling. Immediately after the electric welding machine started up again, the steel bars were wrapped around their wrists. This time they directly welded the steel bars on their wrists to the car. The welding caused a violent high temperature, and this group of people howled. The whole scene is like purgatory on earth. At this time, Charlie looked at Lu Zhaokan's family of 5, and said coldly, your family, do some sneaking and petting businesses. You won't change after repeated teachings, you are extremely nasty, and are inferior to astupidals. It's really everyone's possession and condemnation. Today I will walk for the sky and send your family on the road. After finishing speaking, he ignored the hoarse pleadings of the Lu family, and directly let the people in black bring them into Ivco, and weld them firmly with the others. At the scene, Zhang Ming, who was almost frightened, was left alone. Zhang Ming's eyes towards Charlie were so empty that they lost his soul. His whole body was shivering constantly, and his mouth murmured, Charlie, we have grown up together, I beg you to forgive me, I am not a heinous person, I don't want to die, please you see, for the sake of growing up together for so many years, spare my life. Charlie lowered his head to see that his crotch was already covered with filthy things, and it seemed that he had already incontinence. His face looked like frost, and he said coldly, Zhongming, when you are born, you have to know what you can do and what you can't do. The 100,000 volt high voltage line will kill if you touch it. When you are a first-time offender, and you are open, not to mention that you grew up in a welfare institution. Child trafficking is a high voltage line that no one can touch, and the one we should not touch is orphans like us. I don't understand this truth, so what's the point of your life? Zhongming crumbled and grabbed his hair and tore a large bunch of hair. Then he raised his head and looked at Charlie with blood-red eyes. Charlie, before I die, I have one more question I hope you can answer. Can you satisfy my wish? Charlie nodded and said, for the sake of growing up together, I will satisfy your wish. No matter what question, I will answer you. However, after I answer you, after you get my answer, you are going away from this world. Zhongming shuddered suddenly, staring at Charlie, and asked, Charlie, who are you, what are you, who can have such great energy? Charlie smiled slightly. Even if he was right, Zhongming would definitely ask him this question. So, he squatted down, looked at Zhongming's eyes, and said word by word, Zhongming, what I want to tell you next, even my wife doesn't know it. This may be the last thing you get before you die. An answer, so I hope you can listen carefully. Zhongming swallowed hard, nodded hard, and said with a trace of unwillingness in his eyes, Don't worry, I will listen carefully to every word you say, so that I can come to you for revenge in my next life. Charlie smiled indifferently, then listened carefully. I am from the Wade family of East Cliff. What? Zhongming has lived for more than 20 years, and what Charlie said was the most shocking and incredible sentence he had heard in his life. With bloodshot eyes, he observed at Charlie's face and muttered, Impossible, how is this possible? I know you, I have known you since I was a child, your name is Charlie, you are an orphan. You were 8 and taken back to the orphanage by Aunt Lena when you were 20 years old. You were like me. In this society, there is no support, no father, and no mother. How could it be that you are the young master of the Wade family? Charlie smiled slightly. I know, it's hard for you to believe this, but it's really true. Otherwise, how could you think I could mobilize so many people to chase you casually? Look at these helicopters. Look at these people in black with live ammunition. If I were not the young master of the Wade family, you should have succeeded this time. But, Zhongming asked incredulously, if you are the young master of Wade's family, why did you grow up in the orphanage? Why didn't they treat you and took you away? Why let you, a young master in oblivion, live with a stinky silk like us since childhood? Charlie smiled and said, they didn't know my whereabouts back then. Before my father died, it took a lot of hard work to hide my identity. Although the Wade family has been looking for me, they never thought I will grow up in an orphanage. Zhongming immediately asked, then they found you again now? When did it happen? Why is this? Charlie said, they came to me some time ago. Before they found me, I was just like you, and I might not be as good as you, because at that time, I was not only physically penniless, I still worked as a live-in son-in-law at my wife's house. Every day I washed clothes and cooked. I didn't see any hope in life. Unlike you, you can at least work as a director in a deceptive company. Zhongming blurted out, you know that you are the young master of the Wade family. Since you are living in such a miserable life, why don't you take the initiative to find them? As long as you take the initiative to find them, you don't have to live a life of being looked down upon. Charlie smiled and said, "This is the difference between the two of us. I came from an extraordinary background, but I am willing to be humble. You come from a humble background, but you are not willing to be humble and ordinary. If you are like me and willing to be humble, how can you commit crimes? What's the big mistake you made today? I don't understand." Jiang Ming desperately shook his head, already a little irrational, and said, "I don't understand. I really don't understand. Is it because you saw money when you were young? Can you go on?" "Perhaps." Charlie smiled faintly, and said, "When I was young, I was really rich in clothes and every other aspect. The life I lived at that time may be something you can't imagine now, but what about it? I didn't live well. Happy not, my parents were not happy either." Jiang Ming asked incredulously, "Then are you willing to suffer poverty? When you were a kid, you obviously experienced a rich life, but when you have nothing, don't you miss that life?" Charlie sighed lightly and said again, "Jiang Ming, you take money too seriously. You can take money very seriously, but I can't take money too seriously. There are certain things that money can never match. For example, your ideals, your love, your principles, and your conscience. Once you put your position in the wrong place, you will do things wrong. Some things can be changed if they are wrong, and some things cannot be changed even if they are wrong." At this moment, Jiang Ming finally realized how humble he was. Because Charlie in front of him, Charlie who grew up in the orphanage with him since childhood, turned out to be the young master of the Wade family of Eastcliff. It was also at this moment that he knew how far he was from Charlie. He finally knew the gap between the two. It's the gap between the vulture and the eagle. It is the gap between pheasant and phoenix. It is the crucian carp that crosses the river, the gap with the real dragon on earth. As the saying goes, the vulture is well aware of eagle's ambition. This sentence is now placed on himself and Charlie, it is really appropriate. It was also at this moment that Jiang Ming finally gave in completely. He knew that not only did he lose in this life, but also in the next life. It is no longer possible for himself to seek revenge from Charlie, and if Charlie kills him, it is as easy as crushing an ant. He is the same as Lu Zhaokan's family, and the members of the beggar gang, except that Charlie is a real dragon on earth, a small fish and shrimp that yawns to death. Jiang Ming's face was instantly filled with despair. Just now, he was thinking about his next life, or seeking revenge on Charlie in the next life. But at this moment, he really understood that even if he had another life, he probably wouldn't have the qualification to seek revenge against Charlie. The most painful thing in the world is to realize that you will never be able to catch up with your enemy in a few lifetimes. At this moment, Jiang Ming is already completely ashamed. He looked at Charlie with tears and choked up. "Charlie, I take it. I really take it. You kill me. I am tired of the world, and I am tired of myself. Please let me out." Charlie nodded and looked at him seriously. "Jiang Ming, of all the people who are going to die today, your crime is the lightest, but also among everyone who is going to die today, everyone committed a capital crime, of course. Including you, I hope you can have a good baby in your next life. Zhang Ming smiled miserably and said, in my next life, after hearing you just finished your story, I suddenly felt that a person like me might be born with a hard life. If given another life, I can't do it. Still an orphan, maybe it's still a stinking silk in the eyes of a few people. Charlie nodded with a flat expression and said, in this case, then I hope you can be a good person in your next life. Zhang Ming nodded seriously and smiled sadly, as you said, I myself have begun to hate myself. I hope I can be a good person in my next life. After that, his whole person was calmer. He was scared of incontinence just now, but at this time, he was able to hold on calmly and stood up by himself. He stood in front of Charlie and said seriously, Charlie, let me go on the road, send those children back safely, tell Aunt Lena that I am wrong, tell all my friends, I am wrong, I regret it, I used my life to atone for my sins. Charlie nodded and said, since you really know that you were wrong, then I will give you a happy one. With that said, Charlie said to Isaac, weld all those people in Ivko, and then let the helicopter hoist the car into river. Okay, master. The helicopter took off again. Ive Curry, the core member of the beggar gang and Lu Zaokin's family, kept crying out the last despair. Everyone was struggling hard, but at this time not only they were welded to death, but the car was also welded to death. It was impossible for them to escape. Then the helicopter simply threw the Ivko full of sins into the river. This Ivko made a rapid bubble on the surface of the river, and then it sank completely to the bottom. Charlie turned his head to look at Zhang Ming at this time, and said lightly, I promise to give you a pleasure, not to make you die as painful as they did. Zhang Ming smiled miserably and nodded, thank you, Charlie. Charlie nodded slightly, and said to a man in black next to him, take him to the bridge and give him something simple. The man in black nodded, okay master. Before the man in black could get started, Zhang Ming staggered towards the bridge. He climbed onto the guardrail, turned to Charlie and said, Charlie, give me a good time. Charlie looked at the man in black and nodded slightly. Afterwards, the man in black took a black pistol from his waist and aimed it at Zhang Ming's forehead. Bang! A bloody flower burst out of the back of Zhang Ming's head. Immediately afterwards, his body leaned back, fell off the bridge, plunged into the river, and was instantly swallowed by the rolling river. When Zhang Ming died, Charlie suddenly felt a little sad. He was sad not because he sympathized with Zhang Ming, but because he felt that a person had become what he hated the most. This was indeed a kind of sadness. Zhang Ming was in his youth. If it were not for going astray, he would have the opportunity to change his destiny. Perhaps in a few years, he could also marry the girl, become the CEO, and reach the pinnacle of life. But life is like this. Some pits can be closed, and some pits cannot be closed. Looking at the billowing river, a person was hurt for a moment and said to Isaac, okay, you help me take the children back, send them to the hospital for the doctor to check if there is any serious problem, and then notify the welfare institution to come over. Isaac nodded and asked, Mr. Wade, what should we do with the rest of the beggar? Charlie sighed, there are tens of thousands of evil beggars, and they can't be killed. I only hope that the death of the heads of the beggars can make the people below wake up a bit, and don't do this kind of things in the future. After speaking, he said again, "By the way, let all the people on the scene today stop talking nonsense after returning." Isaac immediately said, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, I understand." Charlie said, "Okay, let's go back." Isaac hurriedly used the walkie-talkie to order, one group, send all the children to Oris Hill People's Hospital, and the second group, escort the young master back to Oris Hill. After a few minutes, Charlie had already boarded the helicopter on his way back, but the altitude of the plane was not high, and the cell phone signal was not affected. So Charlie put the video he had taken in YouTube and processed it, mainly to change his voice so that it was unrecognizable, and then uploaded the processed video to the internet. This period of time is a bit long, very shocking, and some bloody videos. Once released, they immediately became popular on the internet. Originally, the loss of 10 children in Oris Hill Welfare Institute today has become the target of attention of netizens across the country. The popularity on the internet has surpassed all other news, ranking first in the major rankings. Almost the people of the whole country are holding their mobile phones and watching this shocking video. Now this video has brought this event to a perfect ending. The bad guys are punished and the children are rescued. It immediately aroused the zealous blood in the hearts of the people across the country. Especially in the section where all the core members of the beggar gang were welded to the river in vehicle, countless netizens were excited and applauded. People all over the country want to know who did this? Who made this video? However, Charlie dealt with all other information, and did not even leave a back view to the netizens. At the same time, because they learned that Regner of the Wu family is the backer of the beggar gang leader Nanshan, the whole network criticized them. Hundreds of millions of people scolded Wu's family online and asked the police to conduct a thorough investigation. The reputation of the Wu family was destroyed. Just when this video went viral on the entire network, and countless people reposted, commented, liked, and applauded, the whole gang of beggars was completely exploded. They did not expect that none of their gang leaders, 2 deputy gang leaders, and the 9 elders were spared. This made the middle-level leaders of the gang of beggars almost all start, desperate to run away overnight. The Wu family didn't know all of this at this time. Wu Qi just added a meal and caused the whole Wu family to jump around. The old master of the Wu family was greatly stimulated last time, and he has just recovered from this period. At this time, Regner and his wife Yakina were comforting, and they had just looking at their son. As the eldest son and grandson, Roger was carrying the dinner prepared by the servant and came to his grandfather's room. When he just opened the door, he saw the old master lying on the carpet, twitching constantly, foaming at his mouth, his face pale. Roger was taken aback, and hurriedly stepped forward to check and found that the old master seemed to have had a stroke. When he looked at his hand, he was holding his cell phone tremblingly. There was a video on the cell phone. How could the person on the video look like this? His uncle? He subconsciously picked up the phone and took a look. He just saw his little uncle go crazy, pinched his aunt's neck, and strangled her directly. When Roger shivered, his mobile phone was thrown out. When he was shocked by the content of the video, the old master beside him had already lost his breath. Roger was shocked and rushed out the door, shouting at the servant and the doctor. The doctor arrived quickly and began to give first aid to the old master. Soon, Regner and his wife rushed over after hearing the news. What's going on? Why did the old master suddenly have a stroke? As soon as Regner arrived, he immediately questioned the Wu family's expert doctor. The doctor immediately said, "Chairman Wu, master should have been irritated, and he was suddenly irritated, almost like last time." What happened? Regner was extremely puzzled. What happened? Why is it suddenly stimulated to have a stroke? At this time, Roger in the corner watched all the videos circulating on the internet, and came to Regner and Yakina with a pale and weak face, and said in a panic, "Dad, Mom, Uncle killed my aunt, and then someone killed him." Young uncle and all the core members of his beggar gang, even the same group of human traffickers, a dozen or so people, all welded to an Ivko, dropped into river. What? When the couple heard this, what was their first reaction? How can there be such a thing in this era? Weld a dozen people in the Kar River? How arrogant is this? Besides, Nanshan's gang of beggars in Suzhou and the whole province are all standard local dragons, and ordinary people can't provoke them at all, let alone ordinary people. It is impossible for people with authority to provoke them. And the entire gang of beggars has more than 10,000 men. Who has the ability to kill all the core members of the gang of beggars? Yakina touched her son's forehead, and couldn't help but said, "Son, are you having a fever? Then it's my brother and aunt, how can you arrange them like this?" Roger hurriedly said, "Oh, what I said is true. It has spread all over the internet now, and before my uncle died, he admitted to the camera that our Wu family was his backer, and he relied on our family. That's why we have done so many things that hurt the world and reason. Now the whole internet is scolding our Wu family." What? The couple were shocked. Regner immediately grabbed the phone from him and blurted out, "Which video is it? I will have a look at it." Roger immediately found the video and clicked to play. At this time, Regner was sweating nervously, staring at the screen of his mobile phone. He knew what his brother-in-law had done. If he really asked the Wu family to take care of him, then the reputation of the Wu family would be all over. Yakina also raised her heart to her throat. She still couldn't believe that her brother and younger siblings were all dead. Regner and Yakina were close to each other, staring at their mobile phones, after watching this thrilling video that broke them completely. Seeing her brother strangled her sister-in-law, she was panicked to the extreme. When she saw her brother was welded to death in the car and sinking into the river with the car, she collapsed completely, and her legs became soft and paralyzed. She then fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, she cried out desperately, "Nanshan! My brother! You died so miserably! You are dead, and our Shui family is dead. How will your sister face our parents, how to face the ancestors of our Shui family?" After that, she tried her best to hit the ground with her fist, and shouted hysterically, "My good brother, you tell your sister who killed you. Your sister must break him into pieces, and take revenge for you. People are so cruel." When Roger saw that his mother's fist had been smashed into flesh and blood, he hurriedly stepped forward and grabbed her hand and persuaded, "Mom, my uncle is gone, so don't do that." Yakina was crazy, grabbing her husband by the collar, desperately shaking her mouth and shouting, "Crazy? Regner, who killed your brother-in-law? You must find him. Get him out. Bring him to me, let me kill him personally and avenge my brother." Regner was extremely upset at this time. He didn't care if Nanshan was dead or alive. It can even be said that he had long been expecting Nanshan to die. He had long been fed up with Nanshan's unpromising things, backed by his own brother-in-law, and doing sordid things like abducting women and children would only discredit his face. But he never thought that Nanshan would die in this way. It doesn't matter if he is dead. But he is dead, he can't affect the whole Wu family. It's better now, before this little fraudulent died, he pushed everything to the Wu family. He even called his name publicly, saying that he was supporting him behind his back. Isn't this pushing himself on the road to absolutes? How do people outside look at Wu's family and how do they look at themselves? Without even thinking about it, he knew that Wu's current reputation must have been in a mess and plummeted. This is all thanks to Nanshan, this dog thing. At this moment, Regner's assistant ran over quickly and blurted out, "Chairman, it's not good. Chairman, now the whole country is scolding Wu family and scolding you. The broker called me just now and said that if you continue like this as the situation continues, several of our listed group stocks will immediately drop by their limit at the opening of the market tomorrow, and will drop by at least 10 times in a row. By that time, the entire Wu family's assets will have lost more than half. The biggest fear of listed companies is the collapse of reputation. Once a listed company is exposed to a huge scandal, the first thing that will be reflected is the stock price. The stock will continue to fall, and receive a point that no one can imagine. Some companies have a market value of more than tens of billions, but only a few hundred million will fall, and their assets have shrunk by more than 90. Some companies just have a little problem with their products, and they may end up in bankruptcy. But compared to the Wu family's charges, what counts? This time, the Wu family might have to carry all the scapegoats for Nanshan's beggar gang, and all the conscientious things he did might end up on the Wu family. Regner was extremely nervous at this time, because he knew very well in his heart that what the Wu family was facing this time might be a catastrophe. So he immediately said to his assistant, "I immediately issued a statement in the name of the group. Although Nanshan is indeed brother-in-law of Regner, our Wu family has no knowledge of what Nanshan did, and all of Nanshan's behavior. It is his personal responsibility. Regner and the entire Wu family don't know or don't endorse any of it. At the same time, we will prove ourselves to the police because we have nothing to do with Nanshan's illegal and criminal activities. Don't be misled by someone with a heart, and bring the rhythm." The assistant nodded immediately and blurted out, "Okay, Chairman, I will arrange for someone to issue a statement now." Yakina was immersed in the immense pain of losing her younger brother and the family's bloodline. She suddenly heard her husband say that he would leave all ties with his younger brother, and suddenly said, "Regner, do you have a conscience? Your brother-in-law, he is my own brother, he has been killed now, he has been killed, can you understand? Not only did you not give him revenge, but you still have to get rid of him. Are you still human?" Regner is also getting angry, because if this matter is not handled well, it is very likely that the whole Wu family will be affected. Seeing that his wife is still defending her brother, Regner resented and scolded sharply, "If it wasn't for your fraudulent brother, how could my Wu family be so passive? I told you a long time ago to persuade him. Advise him not to do this kind of things, you just won't listen. You protect him everywhere and defend him everywhere. I say a word and you won't let me say it. Now it's all right. Someone walks the way for the sky. It doesn't matter if he is dead, it will tire my Wu family too. When Yakina heard this, she was almost so angry that she was about to collapse. She gritted her teeth, raised her hand and grabbed Regnar's face. Regnar couldn't dodge, and Yakina immediately scratched his face with blood. Yakina's nails were already long, making it so strong that she scratched his skin and flesh, so that the crevices of her fingernails were full of bloody flesh. Regnar screamed with pain, and was even more angry. He grabbed Yakina's collar, raised his hand, and slapped her face several times. He slapped the face and cursed, "Yakina, do you know? Your brother is about to hurt me miserably. I can't bear it for your brother for a long time. If it weren't for your face, I would want it without others. His life, do you know what I regret most now? What I regret most is that I didn't kill him with my own hands, that Pish. Now he turned into a bomb, died by himself, and exploded me too beyond recognition." Yakina and Regnar have fought after so many years of marriage. Now that the younger brother is dead, she was suddenly slapped so much by Regnar, and she has completely lost her mind. "Regnar, you are not a human. I was blind and misunderstood you. If you don't help my brother get revenge, I will go by myself. From today on, I have nothing to do with you." After Yakina finished speaking, she was about to run outside. Roger wanted to chase her. Regnar sternly shouted, "You will come back for me. What are you doing chasing at this time? Will chasing back not cause us trouble? Don't you know what matters most to the Wu family now?" Roger suddenly realized, and blurted out, "Dad! I'm going to find a group of PR soldiers to help us wash the white. No matter how much money we spend." Just as the Wu family was scolded on the internet, the Wu Group's statement has been published through various channels. However, all netizens can see that this is a statement to clarify the relationship. Everyone knows that for someone as capable as Regnar, it is impossible for him not to know what occupation his brother-in-law is engaged in. There is no credibility at all when you come out to set aside everything. Moreover, many people on the internet have picked out Nanshan's life resume. The Xue family was originally a poor family in the south. Not only did not have much money, but also the people were not prosperous enough. It wasn't until Yakina, the daughter of the Xue family, married Regnar, that the Xue family started getting better. However, Yakina's parents did not have such a good life. Not long after their daughter was married, they died because of cancer. When they died, Nanshan was still a second-generation boy who had no job and was idle. Back then, Nanshan relied on subsidies from his sister Yakina, and lived a life of drunkenness and dreams. Later, Nanshan began to make his fortune slowly, and his starting point was the beggar gang. And many people have revealed the development trajectory of the beggar gang on the internet. In fact, in the early years, the gang of beggars was divided into many groups. Nanshan's gang of beggars was not very competitive, and even almost was swallowed by more powerful forces several times. Until one time, after his brother-in-law Regnar came forward to settle the crisis for him, no one in the entire south knew that Nanshan was Regnar's brother-in-law. It is precisely because everyone has to look at Regnar's face that Nanshan can develop step by step to this day. Therefore, At this time Regner came out and said that he had nothing to do with Nanshan, and he didn't know what Nanshan did. This was simply not enough to make people believe. Not only could it not persuade the vast number of netizens, but even because it jumped out of the pot at this time, it was despised by the majority of netizens. So much so that the voice of scolding Wu's family on the internet is even louder, and this time everyone directly targeted Regner, all scolding Regner. Regner never dreamed that he would make a statement, it will end up counterproductive. Rather than saying that he was a slamming essay, it was better to say that he was a quotation of a war. This statement attracted all the flames of war to him. Seeing that countless people send out all kinds of insulting content and posts every second on the internet, Regner wants to die. Roger saw his father being scolded as a dead dog on the internet and being insulted by hundreds of millions of netizens. He couldn't bear it. In addition, he had a strong desire to express, so he immediately spent a lot of money and hired a PR who specializes in whitewashing people online. This PR leader is quite capable. He specializes in whitewashing the wicked. As long as you give him money, even if it is black, he can say it is white. Even if he is against the world, he has nothing to fear. In fact, there are many scams like this on the internet. This person makes his own profit by smearing others or justifying sinners. For example, in the entertainment industry, there is often a wife of a celebrity couple cheating, but in order not to be exposed and not to affect her career, she spends money to find this kind of scam to smear her husband, and beat her husband to say that her husband is out. Stealing fishy, or beating him back and saying that her husband is obsessed with gambling and ignores his family. In this way, her husband will be criticized by the population, and she could continue to go on freely safely. This PR leader had done many such things in the early years. Later, by chance, he got in touch with the Wu family. Earlier, Roger's younger brother Wu Qi was exposed online because he gave a little girl psychological hints and induced her to jump off the building. At that time, the Wu family let this PR guru come forward and forced the Wu Qi killing the little girl story, twisting it into a little girl who was greedy for vanity and tried to marry into a wealthy family. In the end, she failed to pursue Wu Qi. She threatened him by jumping off the building. Finally died accidentally. At that time, the head of the PR used his shameless and powerful PR lineup to reverse black and white on the internet, making netizens mistakenly believe that it was a little girl who was eating the bad results, and finally caused a large number of netizens to scold the little girl on the internet for what she deserved. The girl's parents had no way of upbringing, and finally forced the parents who lost their only daughter to take medicine at home and die. After the parents died after taking the medicine, the PR guru deliberately suppressed the news that the two had committed suicide. He even made up a lie, claiming that the two had scammed away from the Wu family, tens of millions in compensation, and then left. Emigrated to the United States. Netizens who don't know the truth thought it was all true, and even when the other's parents were dead, they still abused them online. This PR guru is not only not ashamed, but proud of it, and often declares to the public that this is a classic of his own public relations. This shows who this person is. What's even more ridiculous is that this PR guru has become such a lowly scum that he actually gave himself a screen name, called Anfen. This time, the leader of the PR forces called Anfen, after receiving 20 million from the Wu family, started his performance again. He posted on major websites, claiming, "The majority of netizens are being used by people with unpredictable intentions. Regner is the most famous entrepreneur and the largest philanthropist in the city. No one pays more attention to minors than he does. Health and safety, how could he indulge Nanshan and do these unreasonable things?" This incident shows that someone deliberately wanted to plant the Wu family and make the Wu family collapse, so that he could profit from it. He even swears to the sky in the post, if he makes a false statement, the sky will thunder and the whole family will die. In order to make everyone believe him, he specifically listed the Wu Group's competitors in various fields, and claimed that these companies may be behind the scenes, and it is even possible that these companies are uniting and want to deal with the Wu family. Then, this person also mobilized the whole family to bring rhythm with the Water Army account. At this moment, Charlie was still on the helicopter returning to Oris Hill. He brushed some web portals at will, and he was quite relieved to see that everyone was aiming at the Wu family. Regardless of whether Regner personally participated in these conscientious things, he was the chief culprit who helped Nanshan to be the abuser. If it were not for him to support Nanshan, Nanshan would not have the opportunity to get up, let alone poison so many minors. Therefore, although Nanshan is dead, the Wu family must also pay for this matter. But when he was browsing all kinds of comments, he suddenly found a post from a netizen called Anfen. After reading it, he was very upset with this person's remarks. Therefore, he instructed Isaac, find the best hacker, touch this person's information, and see if he has collected the Wu family's money, and if so, expose all the evidence chains, making Wu family worse. Isaac nodded immediately and said, "Okay, young master, I will make arrangements." Charlie said again, "By the way, locate me the actual address of the PR army and catch him to Mr. Orville's kennel." Isaac asked, "Mr. Wade, how do you deal with this PR guru?" Charlie said coldly, "The rumor maker, must die. This PR named Anfen and guarding oneself is nothing but a shameless ordinary person. Although he has some ability to call on the PR, in front of a real top hacker, he is simply a transparent person." After the hacker hacked into his computer, he immediately investigated his personal information. First of all, this person is from Hubei province and his family is in Liyuan city. Secondly, this person has indeed just received 20 million in cash from the Wu family. Again, this man stupidly used his bank card to collect the money. And the hacker also found the chat history between him and Wu's family. In the chat log, Roger asked him if he could help the Wu family whitewash. He immediately said that he had 10,000 ways to help whitewash, and he had done this more than once. He also took out the case of helping Wu Qi whitewash and preached, in order to make Roger believe in his strength and willing to give him this list. After the hacker got the information and chat records, he immediately reported it to Isaac. Isaac reported to Charlie again and asked him, "How do you plan to do this, master?" Charlie said lightly, "We should have observer in Liyuan, right?" Isaac nodded immediately and said, "Of course, every city in the country has our observers." "Okay." Charlie said with satisfaction, "If this is the case, it will be staged immediately, and this person will be caught by me first. Liyuan should not be far from Oris Hill, right?" Isaac said, "The straight line distance is just over 200 kilometers." Charlie said, the helicopter will arrive in less than an hour. In this way, you can have someone catch him now and send him directly to Orville's dog farm by helicopter. In addition, after catching him, let the hacker expose all the information to the internet. I want to completely ruin the Wu family. Okay. Isaac nodded and immediately began to order. Luyuan is a small city in Hubei province. Its economic development is not impressive, and housing prices and consumption are not high. And this leader of the PR forces, who is called Anfen, has not finished his elementary school and basically has no culture. He belongs to the bottom of society. If he starves to death, it won't bother many. However, the internet age gave this person a chance to achieve something for himself. He started cursing on the internet at first. Earlier, if one gave him 50 cents, he could hire him to scold others on the internet for a day. Later, he gradually found the trick. As a PR soldier, he is now a rich man in this small city, living in a single-family villa and driving a Mercedes car, and he has the feeling of being a master. Today, an accident in the Wu family brought him 20 million in income, which made him ecstatic. At this time, he didn't care about eating, so he arranged work for his PR soldiers at home and asked them to use various methods to help the Wu family clean up, and even asked them to spread rumors that a popular star cheated, hoping to rely on the news that the rumors star cheated to attract the enthusiasm of Wu's news. He is already familiar with work like this, so the arrangement is very smooth. But he didn't know that at this moment, there was already a team of people starting from the city and rushing to the villa area where he was. Just as he had just finished arranging the work and was enjoying himself with a cigarette in his mouth, the door of the villa was suddenly opened with a door breaker. Immediately afterwards, a group of people in black with live ammunition rushed into the villa. He and his family were frightened suddenly. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.